HarperCollins presents The Snowman Code by Simon Stephenson, read by Jim Broadbent. A note to younger listeners. This story is best listened to when it feels like winter. That doesn't mean you can only listen to it when there is snow outside. After all, it doesn't only ever feel like winter because there is snow outside. Sometimes it can feel like winter because there is snow inside. I hope that if you listen to this story at such a time, it might warm you. Just the same way it warmed me when I first heard it from some of the people it actually happened to. A note to older listeners. All the above goes for you too. Chapter 1. It was the longest winter there had been in over 300 years. It had happened because the weather was broken now. At least, everybody kept saying that was why it had happened. Even the kids in the school playground said so. Imagine that, kids with nothing better to talk about than the weather. Not that Blessing was ever at school to hear the other kids talk about the weather. She had not been to school since December, and now it was March. The reason Blessing had stopped going to school was because she had a problem. In fact, she had 3 problems, and they were all in her class. Ashby Tregdahornick, Cynthia Smith-Smith, and Bartholomew Weaselton. Those 3 fiends did not like Blessing. She did not know why. Maybe it was because Blessing was always polite and kind. Or because she was good at art and maths and science. Or because she could speak French like a Parisian, whereas when any of those 3 tried, they sounded like a pack of stray dogs gargling with cough mixture. Whatever their reason, they did mean things to her. They hid her uniform after swimming. They tore up her projects. They even called her ridiculous names that did not make any sense. Blessing had her own name for them, and it certainly did make sense. She called them the Driplet Triplets. Maybe they weren't real triplets, but there were 3 of them, and they were always together. And what is a bully if not a drip? And if a bully is a drip, then a young bully must surely be a driplet. It was mean to call people names, so Blessing had never actually called them the Driplet Triplets out loud. Still, as far as she knew, there was no rule against thinking it. If it had been any other season, Blessing would have told her mum, and the Driplet Triplets would have been in big trouble. They might have even been put into different classes, and if that happened, they would probably all have immediately died. But it was still winter, and Blessing couldn't possibly tell her mum about bullies in winter. It would make her mum sad, and Margaret was quite sad enough already. Margaret was already so sad that sometimes she did not even go to work any more. If she got any sadder, Blessing might be sent away again. Blessing had been sent away twice before. Both times had been in winter, and both had been because Margaret had become very sad. What happened was that Jasmine came to the door and pretended it was just a normal visit. But soon enough an ambulance arrived for Margaret and took her away. And then Jasmine took Blessing to Miriam and John's house and left her there. It was not Margaret's fault that winter made her so sad. After all, when she was a little girl, Margaret had lived in a country where there was no such thing as winter. Yet here in London she was expected to spend several months of every year freezing cold. It was a bit much. If you asked her, Margaret would tell you that the reason she disliked winter was not because it was so cold or so dark, or even because the whole thing was such a ridiculous idea. She would tell you it was because winter made all the beautiful roses in the rose garden in Victoria Park disappear. And what could possibly be the point of a season that did that? Not even Dr. Kumar had been able to answer that. Instead, he had prescribed Margaret a special lamp. He had said it was so much like the sun that it would make her feel very happy indeed.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?